Welcome back to Interactive Chat Volume 8. So good to see all of you. We've got some breaking news that we want to touch base on. And this is all about discussing some new details that have emerged from GDC 2022. And as we know, there was no official Sony conference that happened there, but Unity did a showcase showcasing the graphical tools. They did a conference kind of behind closed doors, but we've got the first details that have emerged from this. So really excited to check this out and break it down and talk about it a little bit together. So hope everyone's had a great day out there. And before we get started, want to thank my three newest Patreons, Rob, Billy Goat Catfish, and Zombie5150, patreon.com/PSVR Underground if you want to support the channel. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys for all the support as always. So let's go ahead, and this news is coming to us from Android Central, where they have talked about, they say GDC 2022 provided a glimpse into the future with PlayStation VR 2 games, PlayStation VR 2 games. And we're going to take a look at some of these new details that have emerged that are really, really cool, and I'm really, really excited about. What is up, guys? So good to see all of you. This is Interactive Chat, of course. Killer Artist Gabriel, Blue Jew, good to see all of you. Thank you for joining in. What up, Salvador? Super excited. Flame Hat, good to see you guys. So they say, eyes are the window to the soul, and VR devs are going to peek through yours to make their PS5 VR games more responsive. And they say Sony may have been an official no-show at GDC 2022, but we know its developers were behind the scenes in San Francisco, allowing game devs to try out the PSVR 2. Yes, as we heard, developer from Valve, Chet Falasek, who worked on tons of games over there in the past, has some experience with VR, is actually known for being critical on VR. He said, the world just feels different after returning from playing PSVR 2. That Shuhei, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Shuhei is still secretly being this champion of VR, going around. You know, there hasn't been this huge showcase and things going on, but he is behind the scenes walking around GDC with a briefcase with a PSVR 2 in it. I mean, it's crazy what they're doing. There's still this buzz, there's still this excitement and things happening behind the scenes. Even if we're not getting these huge showcases that we're waiting on, those will probably come. But in the meantime, we've got Shu sneaking around GDC and demoing to a few select people, of course, very few people. So let's continue with this. So it wasn't just Chet Falasek. I actually saw last night on Twitter, I saw Seth Gerson said, headed back to LA, was great to see live people again at GDC 2022. Thank you, YoSP, which is Shuhei, and Sean the Girl for the best demo of the show. Can't wait for what is to come. And I had to look at his name and see who he was. I'm surprised I didn't know this. He's the CEO of Survios, which, if you guys don't know, Survios is one of the original big VR developers. They're huge. And he's the CEO of Survios. They made Creed Rise to Glory, which is obviously a wildly successful game. They made Raw Data, which was a huge game around launch. So really cool to see him. He's got to be talking about maybe getting some PSVR 2 action behind closed doors. But anyways, let's take a look at what this article has to say. They say, while the media obviously wasn't privy to these backroom demos, I did get to attend an intriguing GDC panel, Building Next-Gen Games for PlayStation VR 2 with Unity, headed by Unity developers who ostensibly have PSVR 2 dev kits of their own. The panel ran through the differences coding VR games for PS5 VR compared to current headsets like the Quest 2. Sony already announced the PSVR 2 would use eye tracking to support foveated rendering, consolidating the highest graphics in your line of sight. but Unity provided the first hard statistics of how much this improves performance. GPU frame time improvements are up to 2.5 times faster with foveated rendering and up to 3.6 times faster with both rendering and eye tracking. Now, I've heard that that Toby, who's supposed to be the people that are also doing the support for the eye tracking for Sony, are going to. They were actually present at the conference as well, so they were there and they probably demonstrated a little bit, provided some of these statistics on the eye tracking. And how it's going to work. For those who don't know, foveated rendering combined with eye tracking is going to follow and track your eyes and is able to have higher fidelity graphics only where you're going to be looking. So they can focus on where you're looking to make it look extremely awesome while not using as much GPU, CPU usage and your peripheral vision, which is super cool. And good to see you guys in the chat today, man. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, super cool stuff. So let's get back to it. We got more to get through here, but this is just super exciting stuff that is awesome. So anyways, they have here a picture here of this is the VR Alchemy Lab demo that they used to showcase. This is a off-screen screenshot here, just showing some of the statistics running. Spaceship demo that they had running at a native 4K on PS5, and they had the GPU frame times, the CPU main threads. So they say, running the popular VR Alchemy Lab demo with demanding graphics like dynamic lighting and shadows, rendering and tracking dropped frame time from 33.2 milliseconds to 14.3 milliseconds, a 2.3 times improvement. And running a 4K spaceship demo, which we see up above, CPU thread performance and GPU frame time were 32% and 14% faster, respectively. In practical terms, developers will be able to optimize their games to make the most out of the PS5's raw power, and you'll never notice the dips on the periphery. So super cool stuff here, man. And then they say, according to the Unity devs, eye tracking can also provide UI benefits beyond graphical enhancements. You can magnify whatever a player is looking at, both visually and auditorily, or players can look at a specific object and squeeze the trigger to interact with it, ensuring players don't grab the wrong thing and get frustrated. So this is really cool. A lot of the times, in a game, if the game doesn't have good tracking or whatever, you go, how many times have we experienced in Gen 1 where you go to open something, you interact with something, and it you hit it and it causes the collision and to just malfunction, and like a coffee mug that you go to grab suddenly shoots across the room. And this has been especially with a lot of games that are very interactive, a lot of puzzle games, this definitely can be a super frustrating thing. So it's really, really important to have some solution for that, and this seems to be one of the ways they plan to combat that in the future, which is going to be awesome. So you can actually, the game can see what you're looking at, like a door handle, and rather being janky or having some collision issues, it will assist with that. It's almost like we've talked about before, having some kind of aim assist. So let's continue. The PSVR 2 tracks gaze position and rotation, pupil diameter, and blink states. That means that a PSVR 2 could know if you wink or stare at an NPC, triggering some kind of personalized reaction if the devs program it. Or eye tracking can offer actual aim assist. Sweet, so they actually have confirmed this now officially. So a poorly aimed throw course corrects closer to where you're looking at. We've discussed this, but we were just speculating. So awesome to see that this is actually something that they've already thought about, that they've already implemented. And of course, eye tracking will allow more realistic avatars for social VR games. Now we can all make googly eyes at each other. Unity and other game engines most likely will also use PSVR 2 eye tracking to create in-game heat maps that tell them exactly where players look in a given scene. Devs can use this during playtesting or public betas to see why players are struggling with with a puzzle or what interests them the most in environments. Going to be a lot of people testing jiggle physics. They're gonna see the response to jiggle physics, and so they also say, so this is the thing though. I this will be interesting to see moving forward. They say it's fair to hope eye tracking will make games better while also feeling a bit weirded out by the amount of physical data the headset can collect from you. I'm curious if games will let players know their eye tracking data will transmit to the developer, either in the terms of service or more openly an opt-in request before playing. So this is one of the things that has been really controversial in the past, that, the whole thing about Meta selling your data, basically selling your everything to corporations and whatnot. And people feel differently about it. Me personally, when it comes to like gaming and stuff, I mean, with Meta and stuff selling it, knowing that they're just using it for like targeted ads, things like that. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. But there's the flip side of the coin there, is that I do like the idea of developers being able to see things to make improvements to the game, or see how players are reacting to the game. This is not something that you can really tell by, I mean, I guess there's some information you can collect by watching by watching gamers play certain things, but you can only see it represented on the screen and not necessarily, this is some deeper, closer, more intimate data. So, yeah, people might be a little bit mixed on this, but like they said in the article, maybe it'll depend on how the developers treat it, or what kind of data, maybe a terms of service thing like that. Jay Meow with the donation, thank you so much, man, says, to put those numbers into perspective, the PS5 CPU has a clock speed only 2 times as fast as the PS4 Pro. So 3.6 times the speed for eye tracking is massive. Yes, I agree. That was one of the things that was a concern about, having this eye tracking. How well is it going to work? A lot of people had this question surrounding this because they weren't sure. And Sony did announce, I think they were in talks, I guess they finalized the deal with Tobii, who is a world-renowned, company that is basically the global leader in eye tracking software. They use it for all sorts of stuff, from the medicinal field to all sorts of things. So they are definitely, seems like they are probably one of the best choices they could have gone with here. And if this is fast and efficient, then that's going to be great from a gameplay standpoint. So let's continue through the article. The Unity developers also made an interesting point that feels obvious in hindsight. PSVR 2 games can support asymmetric couch co-op multiplayer with non-VR gamers in the room. You can cast the Quest 2 or other headsets to your TV, but the PSVR 2 will constantly connect to a console that's always hooked up, making multiplayer a more natural fit. Developers can create multiple in-game cameras and point one feed to the headset and another to the TV for other players, ensuring they're experiencing the same game with different perspectives. It'll make VR much more social and less isolating from the other people in the room, while also preventing the VR or non-VR players from having an intrinsic disadvantage. It'll be exciting to see which of the best PS5 games can support this kind of hybrid VR/2D play. I do agree here. That is going to be an important thing moving forward, is like, we've had a lot of local couch co-op games where one person's in the headset, the rest of the people in the room. There are very few examples of it actually being like really fun though. It's something that, it's one of the many, many things that developers still have to try and figure out. And it's just going to come organically in time, over time, as people do more testing, as they get more feedback. We know how important social features are for multiplayer games. They really do help take away that isolated feel. But an even harder hurdle, I think, is going to be when you have people in the room and you're trying to play. I actually do play. There's one game I like to play with my girlfriend, and it's Picture Party VR, and we actually have a blast with it. It's basically Pictionary, and you're drawing. One person's in the headset drawing with their head with a laser that shoots out of it. But other than that, I really haven't experienced many games that I thought were like a big selling point. Appreciate all you guys being here, man. Love you too, Mako. I'm usually a lot more interactive with you guys, and I will be here in a minute, but I want to get through this article first, and then we can talk for just a little bit. Lastly, the PSVR 2 controllers... let me move back to the article, sorry. Lastly, the PSVR 2 controller's haptic feedback, finger tracking, and trigger resistance will give devs more realistic, differentiated reactions based on whatever the player is doing. They gave an example of spatial haptics where an explosion on the player's right could provide the most feedback in the right controller and scale down the intensity on the headset and the left controller. So that's cool. Not only... A game like Returnal is the perfect example. If you haven't had the chance to experience the best example of DualSense controller, adaptive triggers, haptic feedbacks, and audio design, Returnal is an excellent PS5 example. Just because it has, the way that the haptics hit around the controller are really something special. When it all works together, it all is really, really awesome. And having this intensified by VR is going to be something ridiculous. So let's continue. The Unity devs warned that heavy trigger resistance should be used mindfully to avoid fatiguing users. If players face resistance every time they draw a bowstring in Horizon Call of the Mountain, immersion can turn into frustration depending on the physical capabilities of the gamer. I do agree with this to some degree. Like, I, of course, want it, but I understand if you haven't getting too much fatigue from it. VR games are really physical. And you don't, depending on, it's a player-by-player basis, but, Stride just came out, which is a great example. And, I love the fact that you swing your arms while you move in that game, but I've seen some people say, like, they don't like that. Like, they don't want an option. So I think the solution here is to have an option. For those that want to feel the maximum immersion, more intense experience all the time, I think there should be an option for them. But I think for other players, an option to disable that would be even better, so that it's just you get the best of both worlds. That is something that a lot of developers have benefited from this gen is options. We always talk about this. You need stuff for motion sickness people. You need stuff for non-motion sickness people. All the stuff is super, super important. All right, so finally... while I couldn't sneak into a developer session and try the PSVR 2 for myself, I felt like this panel gave me an idealized sneak peek at how the headset could stand apart from other headsets, assuming devs take advantage of these tools. Both the PSVR 2 and the Oculus Quest Pro, which will also support eye tracking, have the potential to make VR much more immersive and reactive to players than ever before. And PS5 VR in particular will invite families and loved ones to join in on the excitement without needing to have their own headsets. And this article was by Michael L. Hicks from Android Central. Really, really exciting stuff, you guys. This is the first glimpse that we've had from this showcase because this has been all behind closed doors. You can only get it from the GDC vault. I'll show you a picture too if you haven't seen it yet. There's from somebody that actually spoke at the conference here. This was one of the lead speakers, and then Bria S. Williams was also here. This was Fabian Holman, who's an XR graphics engineer at Unity, and then Bria S. Williams, who's a Magic Leap alum and a senior product manager, technologist, and art enthusiast at Unity 3D. She actually posted a picture of the conference if you want to see what it looks like. I think so, anyways, unless she took it down. Did she take it down? I know she posted a picture of it. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is a look at the conference for those who might have missed it. This is just what it looked like. You can see, like, it says eye tracking is input. And yeah, there wasn't like a whole bunch of graphical showcase stuff. But that's a quick look into that. Now, yeah, man. So this just popped up. These are the first new details talking about how fast and efficient the eye tracking is going to be. This is really, really cool stuff. And yeah, man, I am so excited about the future and what PlayStation VR 2 is going to hold. Like I said, you know, it's really interesting how Shuhei has been going around kind of just, they're very low key about it right now. And of course I expect that to ramp up in the future. I think they are definitely intentionally doing everything the way they are right now. I do want to see them launch like a larger marketing thing, but I think they're still kind of testing it, still getting some things finalized, still getting the polish set up. So before we get out of here, man, let's see. Do you guys like have any questions, any comments that you want to talk about before we leave? Because this is interactive chat after all. The point, Old Dart says that point about PSVR 2 being able to be shared activities is an excellent one. Never considered that. Again, it's going to be up to developers to take advantage of some of these tools, also have the games that are well designed enough to make for a compelling experience. There's been actually a sizable chunk of games that have had the local co-op feature. And like I said, I think there's only like one, maybe two that I've enjoyed, like the Playroom VR and then Picture Party VR, which nobody knows about, but I secretly love. But yeah, man, big shout out to Bob at Lazy Yoda on Twitter for pinging me about this, letting me know. There's probably going to be several more details that emerge. Jay Meow says, is there anything not spoken about yet that you think eye tracking will/could be used for? There's definitely a lot of things. I mean, we've covered quite a bit between here and Without Parole, of course. But I said things, they've basically just now confirmed things that I thought before, like aim assist. I think that's going to be a big deal. That's going to create a lot of that's going to help with a lot of frustrations. And if there's two big things you want to minimize when you're in VR, when players are in VR, it is frustration and sickness. Those are not good things to feel while you're in VR. GB Abbreviated Dreams Cat says, AJ, do we have any insights into whether or not Media Molecule is stepping up for PSVR 2? The only insight I have on that is that they have expressed interest in PSVR 2 when it was first announced, but there's nothing that they can announce at this time or have confirmed. There was a thing that popped up yesterday or the other day about a possible PS5 version of Dreams. I saw that, and I immediately knew that was just a store discrepancy, because that shit happens all the time. I mean, when Elden Ring went up for pre-order, it said it had VR and aim support, and we were just like, nah. Like, I wish, man. It'd be amazing, but I don't know, man. Mako XL says, AJ, where do I sign? So actually, if you go to the PlayStation VR 2 website, PlayStation website, there is, let's see here. There is the website up and running now. Let's see. Let me bring this up real quick, and you can take a look here. This is just the PlayStation blog. Make sure everybody goes and signs up here. If you go to Sony, they actually have this right here. Go to hardware. They actually have a PlayStation VR 2 tab now, which is really cool, and you can access it directly. And of course, it brings you to the page. They've got the full headset showing here, all the different stuff. Just little PR stuff, but man, super, super cool and excited Oh, and the whole reason I was going to show you this was at the very bottom. At the very bottom of this, you can sign up for PlayStation VR news, 2 news and updates. I haven't gotten anything. I'm signed up for this, but it also should be alerting you when you can pre-order the headset. So make sure everybody goes and gets on that. That will ensure you are one of the first to get one when it happens. All right. It is, like Flamehat says, it is up to the developers to utilize this, just like the PS5 features. One of my biggest disappointments about Elden Ring is that they didn't really use the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, which I thought was crazy. I really wish they took advantage of that more. I think that's a missed opportunity, and that's why I give Returnal so much praise by Housemarque, because it's really amazing when all of these features come together, and it's going to be insane on VR. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining in, and we'll be doing another one of these pretty soon, doing a follow-up, but I really appreciate everybody dropping by. Sorry I didn't interact with you as much as I usually do, but I wanted to read through that article. I think that's the main focus here. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I will see you tonight for Saturday night live stream. It's probably going to be 8 o'clock Eastern. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you later. Underground out. Later, y'all.